If you study old houses closely, especially those built before electricity, mass-produced hardware or standardized locks, you start to notice something important. They were not fragile. They were built by people who expected hard times, theft, conflict, weather, and long nights without help. Before we begin, if this kind of practical historical knowledge matters to you, subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles, like the video, and leave a comment with what era or technique you want covered next. Now let's get straight to the substance. Older homes treated doors as defensive structures, not furniture. Older generations did not see a door as a decorative boundary. A door was a barrier meant to delay, resist, and warn. The first strengthening method was thickness. Solid plank doors were made from oak, chestnut, elm, or pine boards stacked edge to edge, often 2 inches thick or more. Instead of relying on glue, boards were locked together with tongue-and-groove cuts or held by heavy cross battens on the inside. Those battens ran horizontally or diagonally and were pegged through the door using wooden dowels that swelled with moisture. This meant the harder the weather, the tighter the structure became. You can apply this today by reinforcing hollow doors with internal planks screwed across the interior face. Windows were treated as controlled openings, not weak points. Older generations understood that windows were vulnerable, so they layered defences. Shutters were the first line. These were not decorative. They were solid wood panels, mounted with iron hinges and closed from the inside. In many regions, shutters were thicker than the door itself. When closed, they turned a window opening into a solid wall section. Where shutters were not used, wooden bars were installed on the interior, spaced narrowly and secured directly into masonry or heavy timber frames. These bars were often removable during the day, but locked in place at night. Today, interior window bars or removable dowel systems placed in sliding tracks can replicate this without permanent alteration. Even simple wooden braces placed diagonally across window frames dramatically increase resistance. Old window frames were deep and heavy, sometimes extending far into the wall. This depth prevented easy prying and absorbed impact. Glass panes were small, not large sheets, meaning breaking one did not create a large opening. The muntins, dividing the panes, added structural rigidity. A practical takeaway is reinforcing modern window frames with internal wood liners or secondary frames. Adding interior storm windows or secondary glazing also restores the layered defense approach older builders relied on. Sound and delay were intentional security features. A forced door was expected to creak, crack, and announce the attempt long before it failed. Loose gravel near entrances, wooden thresholds, and uneven steps amplified sound. Hinges and bars were left ungreased on purpose. Modern homeowners often eliminate noise, but from a defensive standpoint, noise is an asset. Everyday materials were turned into force multipliers. Farmers and tradesmen reinforced doors with what they had: wagon straps repurposed as metal bands, rawhide strips nailed across weak points, and iron plates salvaged from tools. You can apply this by reinforcing strike plates with steel backing or adding metal plates on the interior face of doors at latch height. Maintenance was constant and deliberate. Older generations regularly inspected doors and windows. Loose pegs were replaced. Warped boards were shaved and refit, and hinges were adjusted seasonally. Security was not a one-time installation. It was ongoing stewardship of the structure. A door that fits tightly is far stronger than one that rattles. These methods worked because they respected physics, not technology. Every technique focused on spreading force, resisting leverage, creating delay and increasing effort. None relied on precision manufacturing or electricity. They relied on understanding materials and how force moves through a structure. That knowledge remains valuable. Whether you live in a rural homestead or an urban apartment, applying these principles makes your space quieter, stronger, and more resilient without attracting attention. If this guide added something new to your understanding of historical security, subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles, share this with someone who values practical history, and leave a comment about which traditional survival systems you want explored next.